I will try to share with you some of the extraordinary, unprecedented events that took place at Soroka Medical Center over the past 2.5 years. But before I do that, let me tell you a bit about Soroka Medical Center. As described, we care for about 1 million people. We're the only medical center for 60% of the area of the country. And importantly, we're very close to the Gaza Strip and where the army trains in southern Israel. So basically, things happen at Soroka, and the future of Israel is in the Negev. As described from Kfar Aza, the Negev, southern Israel, is where the country will develop, and we know people rely on good health care, excellent health care, as a requirement for them of where they will train. So when I say the future of Israel is at Soroka, I just want to give one small example for that. In the past 2 years, we've trained and recruited 72 immigrant physicians from Russia, primarily from Russia and the Ukraine, who trained at Soroka for a year, came with their families. Each one of them will probably bring more family members with them, and that's how the Negev grows. And I've been told some people in the audience have supported Masa and other groups for immigrant physicians. Thank you for that. It's extremely important in what we do, developing the south of Israel and the future of the country. And these are physicians getting their Tudot Zehut, their Israeli ID cards, at Soroka. And we're very proud of this activity, just as an example. I'm going to use the word miracle 4 times in this lecture, out of many events we've experienced over the past 2 years. The most severely wounded soldiers from Gaza come to Soroka, and we've accompanied them and their incredible families. But this all started on October 7th. On October 7th, Soroka treated the largest mass casualty incident as a result from terror in human history. No other medical center ever treated this number of wounded people in one day. 9/11, regretfully, did not have that many survivors to treat during that day. And when you look at the numbers, we treated 674 wounded people in the first day alone. The largest number Soroka ever treated was 120, less than a fifth. And all of this was being done while we were under fire. 69 air raid sirens went off that day across our campus. And this is where I used the word miracle the first time. These numbers, if someone woke me up the day before, and to be fair, if someone asked me today, could a medical center handle such an event? I don't think any hospital director in the Western world would say yes. The answer is no, this shouldn't be possible. And yet, the mortality rate was the lowest in Israeli history. Everyone who needed surgery got it. Our staff performed incredibly, but the number of decisions we made and the risk of any one of them going wrong was such that clearly this is a miracle. This should not have been possible that day. This is what our trauma unit looked like, a very small number of the photos. Our staff came in. We were not short for physicians. You see this on the left side of the slide. We were never short for caregivers. 2,000 people came in and provided care. On the right side, you can see the number of stretchers and the total lack of care in the field. People came in with no care in the field, brought in by civilians and so on. And the bottom center photo shows the horror of what the IDF went through that day. This is a vest of a soldier from an elite unit who was brought into the ED by civilians and survived, but this is just symbols of what went on during that day. The number of soldiers we treated throughout these past 2 years is unprecedented. We treated returning hostages who needed extensive care. And the picture of the right is a bit of a story of the humanity of Soroka. This is a picture I took myself when a soldier from the K9 unit was airlifted to Soroka, was patched up in our trauma unit, and just before he went to surgery, his dog was brought in. So we allowed him to be, there's a soldier underneath the dog. And we allowed for that to happen. And again, small moments of joy within what went on through these 2 years. As I said, we treated 7 returning hostages at Soroka, and it was amazing to see Keith and the revival of people who went through horrible, horrible conditions. I will mention Elma Avraham, who was brought to Soroka at age 84, within an inch of her life, airlifted. The fact that she survived is incredible. She spent half a year at Soroka going through rehabilitation, and she's back with her family, and we're grateful for this. Then came the 12-day war with Iran. 3 a.m., air raid sirens go off across the country of Israel. What you do when air raid sirens go off, I'm sure you know, is you seek shelter. You collect your family, wakes them up, go to a protected area, and wait for whatever's coming. At Soroka, that's not what we do. What we do at Soroka is we get into our cars and drive to the medical center. This is us at 4:15 a.m. on the same day, preparing for what we didn't know was going to come. And the first thing we did is we moved departments to shelter, and I'm going to use the word miracle for the second time, because on Wednesday, June 18th, we evacuated some more wards just because we had the opportunity to do a little better. In fact, we were told by our government the day before, we're okay, we don't need to move anyone anymore. And to be completely fair, I don't really have a logical explanation why those were the wards we moved. We knew we could move some wards, and someone guided us to make the right decision and choose which ward we should be moving. On Tuesday, 2 days before the missile hit, we walked through all our wards and taught our team what to do in case of an earthquake. Now, some of you must be thinking that's really strange. Why would I be talking about earthquake in the middle of a war with Iran? The rationale was we were worried a missile might hit at 3 a.m. when we're not in the hospital. We didn't want to scare people and say, this is what you'll do when a missile strikes, so we told them this is what you'll do in case of an earthquake. I was concerned that some people would be scared and understand what we're doing and maybe not come into work. I asked them a few months later. They said, no, we know that you like drilling. We thought you were just taking just doing a drill. But Thursday morning, 2 days later, this is what they did. And they evacuated based on this protocol. I'm going to use the word miracle for the third time for this photo. In November 2024, half a year before the war with Iran, in the middle of the war with Gaza, our fire brigade approached us and said, can we do a drill at Soroka? And the gut reflexes go away. We don't have time, we're in the middle of a war. And we decided to allow them to do it. And keep in mind this photo that shows a crane evacuating one of our many buildings on the 5th floor in November 2024, half a year before the war with Iran. Then comes November 19th. We've been preparing for a week. No one thinks we're going to be hit. It's a very unlikely event. And this is what a ballistic missile looks like when it hits a medical center, when 1,650 pounds of explosives strike a medical center in the most vulnerable site in the medical center. This is the building that was struck on front. And remember the crane and the fire brigade drill? Look at the left side of the picture. The missile struck the exact building the fire brigade randomly chose to practice on half a year before. And I've got to say, from all the events of these 2.5 years, this is probably the most miraculous and unexplainable. The fact that the fire brigade would choose Soroka, would choose that building, and when they come in, half a year later, that's the picture on the left. The same crane knows where to park, where the water hoses are. The one thing they got wrong, they didn't need to evacuate the building because we had evacuated it the day before. But and again, it'll take less. People often ask, was this intentional? It was intentional. The Iranians targeted elderly patients in a hospital in a cold-blooded manner. We know this for two reasons. One, they boast that the accuracy of the missile that struck us is 50 yards. Where it hit is 200 yards from any gate, any fence we have. Number two, they struck our oldest building in red. The one where there are no bomb shelters, they had good intelligence. The one where urology and ear, nose, and throat has elderly patients who cannot evacuate rapidly or walk downstairs. This is very, very barbaric and intentional. They were able to devastate the two buildings in yellow, two 6-story buildings with 600 beds, where the staff acted incredibly well. The fourth time I'm going to use the word miracle because, again, I cannot explain this number. We had 2,300 people in the hospital that day. That's a lot of people. Patients, families, staff members. Not one person was killed and not one person was seriously wounded. The day ended with 40 patients slightly wounded, discharged from the ED. And again, if you ask anyone, is this possible, as a theoretical question, the answer is absolutely not. And you need to know about Soroka, only 20% of our area is protected. So this is despite the fact that 70% of our campus is unprotected. And again, a lot of preparation went into that, but you cannot just attribute this to preparation. Regretfully, we were able to save lives in a very major way, but the damage to structure is beyond words. The missile struck the heart of our campus and took out a lot of our functions. We are now down 25% of our beds, 40% of our operating rooms. Rebuilding will take a long time. But again, buildings can rebuild. Human lives are not replaceable. We have a 6-year plan to rebuild. It is very elaborate. It is very expensive. The Israeli government, our parent organizations, many philanthropical groups abroad have helped. We're about 90% of the way, which is incredible to me, 7 months in. We still are short about $100 million that we will be raising over the next 5 or 6 years. And as you can see, our plan is not just to patch up what was destroyed. We will rebuild stronger, more innovative, more protected. Iran will not win this either. The other reason we know this was intentional, an Iranian Telegram account published this the day of the missile strike. This is supposedly the secret army base I have underneath the hospital, which is what they were targeting. It's absurd beyond words. They had the rationality to remove this the next day when they realized how crazy this was. But we grabbed the photo before. If I had tanks, my life would have been easier. And this is what we're about. We're going to rebuild not just Soroka, the south of Israel. We're going to return to the south of Israel. No one can go back to the Ishuvim around the hospital and in Western Negev if they don't have good health care. And they will have the most reimagined health care that can be imagined. And we're working on that. We're working with the Israeli high-tech companies how to build the most modern hospital in Israel as a response to this barbaric attack. I want to share this story as really as one of the most touching moments we've had over these past years, and what rebuilding really means. The structure, you pay money, you buy, you raise money, eventually you build. On October 7th, in the emergency department with us worked Dr. Eitan Ne'eman. He is the guy on the left. The first patient he treated was Muhammad, a Bedouin kid from Segev Shalom. Around noon, he was called up to reserve service. He was a physician for an elite army unit. His last living photo is the photo on the left, praying the morning prayers, Shacharit, in the roadside in Sderot. He was killed in action that day, leaving his wife, Yael, and their 7 children. They live in the West Bank, in Judea and Samaria. And if you need the capsule of Israeli history, a settler in Judea and Samaria, treating the Bedouin patient as his first patient of the day, getting called up to reserve, and being killed in action. And this lays very heavy on everyone on our staff. We lost several other staff members. But around the Jewish New Year, his widow Yael called me and said, Shlomi, Yuda, our youngest son, is about to be bar mitzvahed. And would it be okay if he laid tefillin for the first time at our synagogue? Now, Yuda and Eitan are both left-handed, so Yuda gets his father's tefillin. And we are now faced with an event we're arranging at our synagogue. And, I told her, and then she said, will you speak? And I said, I'd be honored to, but what event is this? Is this a happy event? Is this a bar mitzvah? How do we do this in the hospital with the specter of the dead father, above us? And she didn't make my life easier. She said, I trust you. Okay. At our synagogue that morning, we had Christians, Muslims, and Jews, each one praying in their own way, people who respected the father and were friends of the family. I can't even begin to describe the emotions. One of our doctors who's left-handed taught Yuda how to lay left-handed tefillins, and that's a picture on the right of Yuda. And it was a very joyous event, in case you were concerned, for the family. And it's part of what we do at Soroka. We don't just rebuild the buildings, we rebuild our community in a very big way. This is my last slide. I described a lot of what we did. I could go on for hours because 2 years and 3,000 soldiers and 7 returning hostages, each one of them touched us in their own special way. But this is really a story of our staff. And this is a picture of a very small number out of our 5,900 staff who are the real heroes of this story. These are the people who do the actual work, come in every possible condition, connect the families and others. And these are the people that I have been tasked with helping through this healing process for us and everyone. The QR code will take you to the American Friends of Soroka website. We would love for you to get involved in what we're doing. It is the story of Israel, encapsulated in one major medical center. We have with us some friends from American Friends of Soroka. Approach any one of us if you want to hear more about Soroka. This has been an amazing morning for me, experiencing for the first time such an event. And this has been so heartwarming to see the coming together of minds. And as you can see, we're very emotional about what we do. And seeing the emotions in this room has been very empowering. So thank you very much for that. I have one more piece of action here. We were going to have the Crown Prince from Iran, and we have brought him a souvenir from home. This is a piece of the missile that hit Soroka. And while he is not here, I am sure someone will be able to get this to him. I'm not sure this is the souvenir he wants from home, but it is a reminder of the horrible nature of this regime that would target a medical center trying to kill 2,300 people. So if someone can get this to him, I'll take this back off stage with me. And thank you very much, everyone.